Welcome to today's 10-minute burst of innovation. This is going to kickstart your week and make igniting innovation easy, less stress, hopefully effortless. Point of it is to give you some meaningful breakthroughs by giving you new tools, activities, mindset to get going. So welcome. It's so good to see so many of you joining from across the globe. I hope you had a absolutely fantastic Halloween. I don't know, did anybody dress up? I went as a 1980s jazzercise and went to jazzercise in my 1980s outfit. So I had a blast on Halloween. It was so much fun to relive my 80s and to go do jazzercise, which, oh, by the way, a lot harder than you think it is. Wow. All right. Today's 10-minute burst of innovation is all about giving you 3 simple activities. They're going to help you ignite innovation. Now, why do we want to talk about these today? Because here's the thing. It's very easy to get stuck, especially when we face our challenges or our opportunities in the same way we've always faced them. I like to think of them as a brick wall. And again, whether that's an opportunity or a challenge. And here's what happens. We have this brick wall, we run up into it, we don't get over it. So what do? We back up and we run into it again. Maybe we get a little bit higher, but still not over that brick wall. So then what do? We back up even further and we run even harder. We basically are doing the same thing over and over again without getting different results. And that's one of the big mistakes we make. Isn't that the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again and not getting different results? Something like that. Well, the same applies to igniting innovation and creating those breakthroughs. We can't expect to tackle our challenges, our opportunities, what's in front of us in the same way we've always done it and expect to get different results. So I'm going to give you 3 super simple ways to get out of that hamster wheel. That's kind of what it feels like to me, or off that treadmill, and actually get to those new streams of thinking, which are going to get you to those more innovative solutions and ideas. All right, let's get to it. And as I'm pulling up my screen, let me just ask you real quick and let me remind everybody, hey, we've got a chat bar here going. So whether you are watching the live stream on LinkedIn or Facebook in one of our groups, or if you're on the Zoom, you can engage. So ask questions, give your insights. I'm going to ask you some questions. So expect to kind of have some thoughts going at the same time. Okay, here we go. Let me share this. Let me get everything going. Okay, so 3 activities to ignite innovation. And before I dig into, let me just ask you a quick question. Put in the chat bar, just in a phrase or in a sentence. How many of you, just give me a yes, if you feel like there are some things that you're trying to tackle where you just get stuck, where you get the same result over and over again, where you just can't seem to move the needle, or you can't seem to get beyond something that's a little bit more incremental in the results. It feels like that brick wall I was talking about earlier, where maybe at best we get a little bit higher up, but right, we still face it and it never goes away. Connie says, frickin' A, yes. Yeah, Connie, I'm with you. There are a few things where I really feel like that sometimes. I want to help us get over that. Yeah, Greg says almost every day. I know, I get it. I've been there. All right, are you ready for it? Here's the thing about what I'm about to show you. It's so simple that you're going to go, oh my gosh, why haven't I been doing this all along? And in fact, I think innovation should be simple. And as I'm talking about these, I want you to be thinking about what are places that I can apply this to. All right, 3 easy activities. Are you ready? Let's do this. Number 1, ask different questions. The challenge is that we ask the same questions and then we get frustrated because we get the same answers, but we're looking for different answers. Here's the thing. Questions in equals answers out. So, and oh, by the way, in the latest research I saw, 96% of our thoughts are the same as they were yesterday. So it's no wonder we get stuck. We're asking the same questions over and over and over again. Think about it for a second. Let's say you are trying to grow your business. And let's say you're an entrepreneur. And your question that you keep asking yourself is, how do I get my product in front of more people? How do I get my product in front of more people? How do I get my product in front of more people? Well, great question, but no wonder you're getting the same answers every time. So what if you just changed up the question a little bit? We have an exercise that we do in our community. It's called word games. So instead of saying, how do I get my product in front of more people? Maybe you ask a different question. How do people discover my product? How do people engage with my product? Maybe you take the product out of it altogether. How do I connect with people who love XYZ? You ask slightly different questions, you'll get slightly different answers. And all those little slightlys add up, like it's 2%, 2%, 2%. So whatever question you keep asking yourself, I want you to write it down. And then I want you to start replacing the words in the question. Discover, engage, connect, magnetic. Like, how do I make my product magnetic to people? How do I make my product referable to other people? Right? There's all these different questions that we can ask, but we get stuck in one lane. So we're going to create a whole bunch of lanes. Or get totally disruptive and ask something totally different that you wouldn't dare to ask yourself on a daily basis. Like, let's use the product example again. So how would I say that in a disruptive way? How do I make my product so desirable that I never even have to market it? It would just do the work on its own. How do I market my product without spending any money at all? Like, just dare to ask different questions, because again, questions in is answers out. And you can do something very slight, right? The 2% change, just change the verb in your question, or you can ask disruptive questions. But either way, the first activity, so simple, ask different questions. That will get you to different answers. All right, so the second one is shift your perspective. Have you ever noticed when you're driving that when you're a passenger in the car or when you're driving the car, you can go down the same road that you've always gone down and it looks totally different? Or if you go down it a day versus night, I will tell you, I drive the same route to the gym every morning and back in the dark. And it looks exactly the same. And I think I know the road like inside and out. And then the other day, I happened to drive it in the daylight, which I hadn't done before in like 6 months, actually. And I wasn't even sure I was on the right road. I thought I had taken a wrong turn somewhere. I'm like, this isn't my usual path. It was absolutely my usual path. But a different perspective made me see things in a whole different way. So how can you shift your perspective? Because new angles, new perspectives equals new observations. You will see things you've never seen before. You will notice things that didn't catch your eye before. And in doing that, you will create new paths, new ideas, new perspectives. New angles equals new observations. So here's a simple way to do that. What if you said, I'm going to look at this from my client's perspective, from my audience's perspective. I'm going to look at this from the problem's perspective. Louis Pasteur, who created the, oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue and now I can think what it is, who created the flu vaccine. Was that right? I think I'm getting this right. Anyway, point is, right, he's a professor. All these professors are working on it. And he says the reason he figured it out is I thought like the virus, not like a professor. I thought like the virus, right? So you have to shift your perspective. I totally botched that story, but you all know what I mean. You know who I'm talking about. Shift your perspective and you will totally change how you see things. Your client, your competition, your marketplace, the problem itself, the opportunity. Look at it from the angle of someone who knows nothing about it. What would they see? Shift your perspective. And here's a little physical thing you can do with that. And I do this all the time when I'm stuck. So I'm at my desk, I'm working, my desk is my desk. It looks the way it always looks. Sometimes I clean it, but basically it's the same. Sometimes if I'm stuck, I'll actually just go sit at the dining room table or in my living room or in the TV room or whatever. My point is sometimes even a physical shift of perspective can actually change how you see things. All right, so that's number 2, shift your perspective. Number 3, create random intersections. We get stuck looking in the same box at the same people and with the same information, asking the same questions. The best way to get out of that, to shake that up, is to add something random into the mix. What do I mean by that? I mean a random person to engage with someone you don't normally engage with, a random data point that normally you wouldn't have brought into the conversation. I love intersections of random. Great innovation lives there. So if I'm stuck on a challenge and I'm at my desk, I'm like, oh, what do I do here? I might say, well, what if I blended this with the Ironman training? What if I blended this with Apple and how they would do things, right? Just create these intersections of random and you'll be amazed at what you come up with. I love talking to people I don't normally talk to about things because they just add fresh perspective. Because here's the thing, those random intersections, they mean new input. And new input equals different output. Think of it like a recipe. If you use the same ingredients over and over again, and then suddenly you infuse a new herb into it, it can totally change the recipe and what you eat. That's what random intersections can do for you. So let me go to the chat bar real quick because I got a few questions, a few comments I want to make sure I get to. One is Mia says, as a question, what if I pursue other audience segments? Exactly. Like instead of just staying stuck with the same audience and the same audience, what if I pursue other ones? What a great different question to ask. So when you think about these activities, here's what I want you to do. First of all, in the chat bar, I want you to put, of these activities, which one are you going to try today? I want you to just try one. This is like the no effort innovation activity right here that anyone can do. So number one, you can ask different questions because questions in is answers out. Number two, shift your perspective because new angles equals new observations. Or three, create intersections of random because new input equals different output. So of these, which one are you going to do? Ask different questions. Ask different questions. Sarah says number one. Yeah, I see different questions. This is the money shot right here. Yeah. You know what? And play word games, right? What we talked about. How do I engage my leadership? How do I pursue my leadership? How do I connect with my leadership? Just changing your language will change your outcomes. Mary T says shift perspective. Love that. Number three, marry 2 or 3 opportunities together to create something bigger. Yes, Mia, love that too. Yeah, it is amazing what can come together. And so did you know on that note of like opportunities coming together, I love intersections of random. Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart have a cooking show on TV, right? So the domestic goddess of Connecticut, right? That kind of like formal, like everything is perfect all the time, right? Martha Stewart barely shows emotion. And then Snoop Dogg, the rapper / weed lover, have a baking show together. It's one of the top rated shows on cable. Why? Intersection of random. Like it just works. Sometimes, to Mia, what you're saying, bringing these different things together actually creates new innovation that we didn't necessarily realize. All right, so I have a question here coming in from LinkedIn, which says, let me read this question. Can I bring these exercises to a team meeting? And is there one you suggest over the others? Okay, great question. Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite things to do when I'm in a meeting where you can see that the wheels are not turning, we're all on, what we're on actually is the hamster wheel, right? And you're getting incremental, you're getting the same ideas you've always gotten. One of my favorite things to do there is to start just throwing in what I call inciting questions that kind of stir the pot a little bit, make people go, what? Not because I think they're going to lead to the answer, but because I know they're going to shake things up. They're going to get us out of our repetition, right? They're going to shock the brain a little bit. That's good. We want to get out of that repetition. And it's also going to force people to think differently. So I love the different questions. That's the easiest one. Shift perspective is really great. But if I were to think of it like in order, like if I was doing an exercise routine, right, I'd start with the different questions because it's easy. It's great for warming us up. It gets us thinking differently. Then I would go to shifting perspectives and might kind of get to the group to think about, well, how would we do this as a client? How would we view this if we're competition? How would we view this if we were the product itself, whatever it is? And then I'd go to intersections of random because that one's a little bit more, I don't want to say it's harder. I think they're all easy, but on the scale of easy, that's the one I would do last. So if you're looking to like kind of level up, start with 1 and go down to 3. All right. What's your one aha, your takeaway from today's session? Put that in the chat bar. Let me know. Let's share with each other because you learn just as much, if not more, from each other than you do from me. And I'm going to take this off my screen real quick. And as you're typing, I'm just going to remind you that okay, I think I'm on. Am I on? Boom. Okay. While you're typing, I'm just going to remind you that we opened up the Everyday Innovators Digital Magazine for new subscribers for 2 days. That's all we're doing every month is 2 days. The reason for that is we want to spend the rest of the time actually creating content and finding new and exciting pieces of innovation for you and pulling together the right stuff and serving our community. So we only open it up for 2 days. So, okay, so who we got? Let's see what people said is what they're getting out of it. The jewel for me today is don't give up. Nice, Connie. I love that. I think we should all take that lesson, especially on a Monday. Yes, get out of the rut and start applying new angles and perspectives. Yes, it's so easy to get in that rut, isn't it? It's so easy to just do what we've always done. These are great ahas. Thank you for sharing that. This aha is it doesn't have to be hard to be innovative. I can actually do it easily. Yes, exactly. Right? Asking different questions, shifting your perspective, they're actually really easy. And here's what we find. I think some of you who've been in my community a long time, give me the yes in the chat bar if you feel this way too. I think that once we start doing this on a regular basis, it becomes easier and easier and easier. So I think it feels hard because your brain is like, it's not technically a muscle, but it acts like one. So when we're kind of new to driving innovation inside of ourselves, it feels a little bit harder. And then over time, it gets easier and easier. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. So good to see you all. I hope this helps kickstart your week and makes it easier, more effortless, and gets you around and under and through those brick walls. I will see you all next time.